My name is Stephen Parker. I am the Chief Learning Officer of Kearney, the first Chief Learning Officer, because we've never really had that role before. So I mostly run learning and development and also a lot of our talent management systems. It's the first time we've had a Chief Learning Officer because our strategy that our new managing partner launched 3 to 4 years ago now was about being the most admired consulting firm in the world. So we started to think through, well, that requires each of us to be the most admired version of ourselves, and therefore that requires tremendous investment in ourselves, in growth, in being your best self. And so we wanted to sort of take, I suppose, learning to the next level. Before that, we'd had various regional systems and unit and country functions that ran learning. One of the things that we're very careful of is to recognize there's great things going on in countries, in offices, in regions that work wonderfully well for them, and that mightn't work wonderfully well anywhere else because of some unique parts of the country culture or just some unique perspectives on the talent they have. So what we try to do is how can you take the best of everything we do and make that more globally accessible without ever giving anyone the impression that we're some sort of centralized bureau of making everyone feel like they're part of the Borg. Because we hire great talent. And the last thing anyone wants to feel is your talent number 937. No, it's about you, and therefore this is for you and for people like you, and it works in your country. But we also know that they want to feel part of something bigger. A critical part of building a vibrant culture that people want to belong to is having a chance to live it and feel it viscerally, not just read about it. And we have a big belief that can only be built from multiple individual connections. That you're sort of connected to the organization, but really your experience of the organization is other people and how they treat you. So we're spread very thin. So how making those connections among people is vital. I mean, not just me, most of our senior partners think about this all the time. From, we've been isolated on a client project for 3 months in the middle of nowhere. I mean, they don't all go to sort of glamorous places. How do we take stock of that group and help them reconnect? And how do I reconnect them with their peers who've been at a completely different continent? And I think one of the things I think we do well is this investment in face-to-face learning. We recognize that learning is the place where a lot of people retouch our culture, because it at least is a place where there's going to be 16 or 25 other Kearney employees, whereas you might go to an office and you're there for a few hours and you meet a few colleagues and then you're back somewhere else. So we know that we've got to get more facile with mobile learning, with e-learning, with all sorts of connected classroom approaches, but we know how vital it is to still create moments, and lots of them, where I'm in the same room as you and we can have a proper conversation and learn together. Our firm, Kearney, we've had a relationship with the school, London Business School, for many, many years actually. We've recruited heavily from the MBA population. And right now they're one of our 4 global schools that we really focus on, and we've got a great relationship. And then it probably goes back about 3 years where we decided to have this fairly large investment in partner development. We knew we wanted to work with a business school because we wanted great brand, great cachet, great depth of knowledge, but we also wanted flexibility to co-create. So we talked to several because we know many of them from different parts of the world. And London came out at top because it had that great balance of depth of expertise, but a real point of view on how learning happens, and therefore how do you co-create the right version of this versus here's one we ran yesterday and it's a bit of a jigsaw puzzle that we joined up, which all the schools around the world admit that was the type. And I think London very quickly has got into far more bespoke learning journeys. Our work with London Business School has been fantastic because we've been able to experiment a lot. And our organization is quite practical in that think of an idea, test it, if it works, we do more of it. And I think it's really important from a learning point of view to do this yourself. You're trying to promote learning and innovation. We tend to often design great things and then run it. So some of the things we've learned by experimentation with different cohorts. One really important one is the environment of learning. I love London Business School setting, it's great. but it's not great every day of the week for 9 days, which is what one of our modules is. So you have to give people different places where they can walk in Regent's Park for feedback sessions, where we go to RADA and we sit in a rehearsal room. Because you're there, you're trying to convey presence and courage. So we've really got better. And once we tested that, we thought, well, why don't we do this all the time? And some of the things aren't that expensive. It's just being thoughtful. The program has been tremendously successful. We, like anyone, try to come up with a variety of measures, but to us the most fundamental one, because we're a partnership, so this is our partners' money, our partners' investment, is to continue to ask them, you've experienced this, you've applied benefits to certain situations, would you still say this is worth the investment for the next 25 partners to go through? And that's always a universal yes.